everybody. It is so nice to see you. Some of you I've met before. We play a lot of music from Tin Pan Alley, which was an area in New York along 28th Street, encompassed maybe 3, 4, 5 blocks. And it was an area that was very popular, where music houses and publishers were and composers went in and out of. It lasted from about the 1880s until maybe the mid-1930s. Some people think that it was there up until about 1950. So we have that, and a lot of the composers who were there, who used the areas that were there, the music houses, were Irving Berlin, George Gershwin, Jerome Kern, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Walter Donaldson. And the vaudeville people, the performers, would go in and out, and they would look for songs to play, because people were there, they were always trying to hawk their songs. And some of the stars who were there was like Al Jolson, Fanny Brice, Eddie Cantor. And how it got its name, it's kind of interesting. There's one theory that that area became known as Tin Pan Alley because they had these old upright pianos that were being constantly played, and they were constantly out of tune. And they'd all be playing from all these houses, one after the other after the other. And somebody said, you know, they sound like a bunch of old tin pans. So somebody said, well, then we're just going to call this Tin Pan area. The composers and the lyricists who were there, who frequented the area, also worked together. So you might see one doing one song and then another time doing another song. And it seemed to be the same group of composers and lyricists that were on a number of the songs that we all know today. Now, I am not a good singer. I was on the Gong Show and got gonged for singing. Seriously, my fear is that sometime, you know how they have the Leave It to Beaver reruns? You know, the weekend of Leave It to Beaver? My fear is that some weekend, somebody's going to be watching these Gong Show things, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, they're going to go, I know her. And yes, I got gonged. I also was a voice major and piano minor in college until they heard me sing. So, what I want to listen to is all of you. This is just all about having a really fun afternoon. We've got the song sheets that we passed out. We'll talk about some of the songs. We'll also play some music that's not on the song sheets that I'm sure you all know. But the first song we're going to do is Yes Sir, That's My Baby. It's #1 on the song sheets. This song was written in 1925 by Gus Kahn and Walter Donaldson. And Donaldson also wrote Making Whoopee, that was a big hit for Eddie Cantor, and Toot Toot Tootsie for Al Jolson. Now what's interesting, and this is a little tidbit for you, what's interesting is that Kahn and Donaldson also wrote Carolina in the Morning. And you know that song? We'll probably play it a little bit later, I hope, because I like the song. But what was interesting, they wrote that song for a show in 1922 on Broadway. Well, the show closed after a year. It wasn't a big hit, neither was the song. But a vaudevillian took that song, took it to vaudeville, and rocketed it to fame. And you want to know who the vaudevillian was? Anybody want to make a guess? It's probably going to surprise you. You know Fred on I Love Lucy? William Frawley is the one who took that song to fame in vaudeville. So we're going to go ahead and do Yes Sir, That's My Baby. We'll play it through once. Kent, you want to sing this one for us? Sure. Okay. Kent will sing.
Group sing.
Yeah, and we'll all have a group sing. So we'll play it through a few times. If you want to sing the first time, go ahead. If you want to sing the second time, go ahead. If you want to sing all of them, go right ahead. Okay? We're just going to have fun. And interestingly, it was covered by 144 artists at that time. Now, these two guys also wrote Alabama Bound, Black Bottom, Button Up Your Overcoat, and Bye Bye Blackbird was written in 1926. And interestingly, now 5'2" was covered by 144 artists. Bye Bye Blackbird was covered by 582 artists. Now that really surprised me because of all the places I play, I get asked for 5'2", I don't get asked for Bye Bye Blackbird. So it's like, you know, it was sort of an anomaly there to me. So we're going to do 5'2", but we're not going to do 5'2" the normal way, at least not for the first couple of times through it. Brian introduced me to a new way of playing 5'2". Now, you know, there's different styles of music, right? There's ragtime, there's blues, there's jazz, there's all different types of things. Brian came up with a new way of playing 5'2".
As if Gershwin would have done it.
As Gershwin would have done it. Yeah, as Gershwin would have done it. So we'll do it maybe, 2 times that way. We'll break and then do a count of 8, and then we'll swing into it the way you all know it and the way you all are going to sing it. Okay?
You might sing it the other way.
Yeah, you might want to sing it the other way too. That's fine. Okay, here we go. Go ahead, Brian. You'll never hear this way.
Thank
should, yeah? Anyways, 1902, Huey Cannon, the piano player in this bar in Jackson, Michigan, he'd sit there and he'd play there. Well, there was a guy who was also a fellow jazz musician named Willard Bill Bailey. And Bill used to come into the bar like every night, and he was kind of the town drunk. And he would have a few drinks, and he'd start talking about his wife Sarah. And he would tell Huey about all these stories about his wife Sarah. So Huey would sit there and listen to this, and he decided one day he was going to make a song about Bill Bailey and about his wife Sarah, lamenting about him. Won't you come on home? All right. Well, Willard thought it was really funny, and he took the song home and he played it for his wife Sarah. Well, Sarah didn't think it was too funny, but she kind of put up with it. So years later, the song became a really big hit, and Bill and Sarah wound up getting divorced. I don't know what happened. And Huey kind of became famous, and so did Bill Bailey. Now, what we're going to do with this song, we're also going to put Bourbon Street with it. So we're going to run both the songs together. Now, when I was doing some research on these songs, I was very surprised to find out, I always thought Bourbon Street was like the 1920s New Orleans era of jazz. It wasn't. It was written in 1949, which kind of surprised me very much. And it was performed by Louis Armstrong, the Dukes of Dixieland, and the Preservation Hall Band. So we're going to do something old from 1902. Then we're going to do something newer with Bourbon Street. And then we're going to do something from the 2000s called a mashup. And we're going to play them both together. Okay? So you can go ahead and sing along with Bill Bailey. We're going to do it a couple of times, and then we'll go into Bourbon Street. Bourbon Street first? Okay, are you going to sing Bourbon Street? Yeah, arrangements on the go. We do it different all the time. So, okay, we're going to start with Bourbon Street. Yeah. And then we're going to go into Bill Bailey. And then after we've done Bill Bailey a couple of times, yeah, I know I talk a lot. And then we're and then we're going to do the mashup. We'll play them both together for you. Okay? also worked on Bye Bye Blackbird. Remember we talked about Donaldson before, so we worked on that one with Donaldson. Nagasaki in 1928, I found the $1 Million Baby in a 5 and 10 cent store in 1931. And Wood's hits included Paddle and Madeline Home in 1924 and Red Red Robin in 1926, which was a hit for Al Jolson, and in 1953 by Doris Day. I don't know if anybody remembers her singing it. I don't remember her singing that song. But anyway, we have that. Now, four-leaf clovers are actually not Irish. Not at all. Shamrocks are Irish. They're the three-leaf shamrocks. Four-leaf clovers are a symbol of faith, love, hope, and good fortune. And they're lucky because it's rare to find one. My folks, when they tried to get rid of us as kids, would say, we'll give you a nickel, you go out and find us a four-leaf clover. And like fools, the three of us would lay on our stomachs and pick through the flowers like this. They knew we'd never find one. So, okay. Okay, guys, we all set? Yes. Well, I kept us occupied. Okay. grocery store. It was awful. It was terrible. Okay, well, let's see. We have, yeah, someplace expensive. Okay. Next song on the list is By the Sea. Now, this song was written, I believe, 1914, and it was written on, who knows where Brighton Beach is in New York? Couple of you? Okay, there was a Steinweber, I think the name of it was, Casino in 1914, and the two guys that wrote this song were sitting out on the porch on the casino, and they were watching the water, and they wrote the song, By the Sea. Yeah, 1914. So, what say you, gentlemen? Sure, By the Sea. Huh? Now, 1920s, early 1900s, remember the bloomers and the skirt and the poofy sleeves and everything and the little hat? She didn't have the hat, but she had everything else and a willing participant. So here I was, all the kids in the lake, this guy that I kind of liked was down swimming, and she says, "Oh, now go on down and go swimming in the water." And I'm going, "I don't want to go out of the house looking like, oh, go out swimming." So I thought, well, okay. So down I go in this wool, itchy. This thing was horribly itchy. Bloomers, skirt, poofy sleeves, my hair in curls. And down I went to the water. Well, I was like the hit of the kids. I don't know, they made fun of me anyways. But you know, I found out that those swimsuits, those wool suits get wet. They not only itch worse, but they get very heavy, and you can't swim in them. And I got out in the water. I was maybe waist deep, and then I tried to get out, and I sort of sunk. I'll never forget that. So I kind of know what those ladies were going through. I mean, it's no wonder the swimsuits started shrinking, and they worked out in deep water with those things. But that By the Sea always kind of reminds me of my grandmother dressing me up, so it was kind of fun. Luckily, there wasn't internet, there wasn't Facebook, and they didn't have instant cameras then. So anyways, well, let's see. We have, what do we have next? Ain't She Sweet? Ain't She Sweet? Don't want to do Ain't She Sweet? Yeah, I think it's on the song sheet. This was 1927, and the guys that wrote it, Jack Yellen and Milton Elsey, also wrote Happy Days Are Here Again in 1929, and Hard Hearted Hannah in 1924. I'm mentioning some of these other songs that they wrote because I know that you know some of the songs, may not have heard them in a while, but this is the era that all these really great songs came out of. So, okay, we're going to do Ain't She Sweet? loud enough they'll hear us outside. Yeah? Well, Babyface was actually published in 1926, and Betty Davis was one of the writers of it. His first hit was Margie, and Harry Ask also wrote the song. Now, this song actually was performed by Little Richard in 1958, and it was also covered by Bobby Darin in, I believe, the 1960s. Harry Ask worked as a pianist on vaudeville, and then he joined the Army in World covered by, gosh, Bing Crosby, Ethel Waters, Fats Waller, Louis Armstrong, the Mills Brothers, Ted Lewis. I think the list goes on and on. It's really a great song. So we'll do Babyface. Yes. Instead of saying